Chapter 1 Garbage Exercises. You are listening at FameTV.info. Taishan Gate, the back mountain, a quiet place, shaded by green trees, blooming like brocades, and birds calling and insects. Beside a gravel path, there is a big stone as high as one person. On the big stone, a young man in a white gown is practicing cross-legged. The aura around the boy/'s body was rippling, and as he breathed in and out, the aura that had gathered rose and shrank along with it, following the mysterious law to gather towards the boy/'s dantian. The boy/'s name was Gu Fei, a disciple of the younger generation of Taishan sect. Taishan Gate, one of the three main road gates on the Tinglong continent, has a long history and is an ancient school. Gu Fei was an orphan. When he was 8 years old, his master Wang Xianqing took him back to Taixuanmen and accepted him as a disciple when he traveled out of the mountains. Although he was in Dao sect, Gu Fei did not practice Dao Fa, but a technique called ancient body refining technique. Physical training, as the name suggests, is a method of self-cultivation based on one/'s own body. The martial arts and supernatural powers described in the tactics are enough to become holy in the flesh, and the ancient combat techniques can even kill the gods. However, once this ancient secret technique is cultivated, it is extremely difficult, and even if the cultivation fails, it can no longer be transferred to other exercises. Gu Fei, who was sitting on the rock with his eyes closed, ran the ancient body refining technique to absorb the spiritual energy from all directions into his dantian and accumulate. When the aura in the dantian is compressed and accumulated to a certain degree, it will guide the aura in the dantian to impact the meridians of the body. Waves of spiritual energy gathered, whether it was the essence of the surrounding vegetation or the sun/'s essence and moonlight floating in the void. Gu Fei was always willing to come and absorb it into his dantian. Vaguely, he could see the tiny streamers like blue silk lingering around him. As time passed, Gu Fei /'s dantian began to burst into colorful rays of light, which was the highly condensed spirit of heaven and earth, gathering qi, shocking, gathering qi, shocking, time. Strength and sometimes weak aura fluctuations spread out from Gu Fei /'s body, and in the cycle, a stream of colorful spirits hit him like a river bursting a bank in the dantian where he was flying since ancient times. The meridians in the body that have not been opened yet, with every impact, it seemed that a huge hammer hit Gu Fei /'s body fiercely. With every impact, a trace of pain appeared on his face. The powerful aura rushes through the meridians, causing tearing pain. The heaven and earth aura erupting from the dantian is so violent that there are countless sharp knives in his meridians. That he clenched his teeth, sweating profusely, and his hair was stuck to his face with sweat, and the white shirt on his body was soaked with sweat and stuck to his body. He is going through the second threshold in the ancient body refining technique, Tongmai. Tongmai means the spiritual energy that converges between the heaven and the earth, condensed in the dantian, and then hits the acupoints above the meridians to make the meridians unblocked, so that the heaven and earth spiritual energy can follow the meridians throughout the body and reach every inch of muscle and every bone of the body, so as to achieve the purpose of tempering the flesh and bones and allowing the body to sublimate and transform. The ancient body refining technique is a technique for self-cultivation against the sky. There is no rock-like will, unremitting penance, and even the first threshold of gathering qi. There are countless cultivation systems in the Tinglong continent, but the realm of the world/'s cultivators can be divided into 5 realms. Awakening me, escape from the commonplace, imperviousness, demigod, and sanctification. Each realm is subdivided into the 9 heavens, which coincides with the meaning of the 90.5 supreme. The ancient body refining technique has 4 levels in the realm of awakening me. The first step in getting started is to gather energy. Only after mastering the ability of gathering energy, can Gu Fei proceed to the next step of Tongmai cultivation. After Tongs the veins, it is Yijin. After Yijin is fully developed, it enters the training of forging bones. The day of forging bones is when the body is transformed. If the transformation is successful, Gu Fei can break through the shackles of cultivation and promote cultivation to the realm of escape. The gathered aura is not strong enough. The failures again and again brought horrible pain like Ling Chi. The corners of Gu Fei's mouth were bitten and blood oozes, but he still insisted. The human body has 12 serious meridians. I have only opened up 2 meridians. In addition to the 12 serious meridians, there are 8 odd meridians. When can I open the whole body meridians and enter the Yi stage? The ancient physical exercises are difficult and terrifying. Most people who have practiced this kind of exercises are very awkward, but the people who practice the extremely slow and advanced techniques seem to have only one end, that is, they have not yet mastered the ancient physical exercises. If they succeed in cultivation, these people are dead. 3 rods in the sun. Seeing that the time for early repair is about to pass, Gu Fei sits all morning. Since he opened up the second meridian 2 years ago, he has never made any progress. The barrier of cultivation, like an insurmountable gap, straddles him. Gu Fei was disappointed, but not discouraged. His personality is a bit like his master Wang Xianqing, who is as stubborn as an ox, and he is the kind of person who never looks back. Fight. Gu Fei raised his head to look at the sky, and there was still enough time for him to hit the acupuncture point again, so when he gritted his teeth, his face showed a resolute color, his eyes were extremely firm, the tactics worked, and the aura around him that hadn't /t dissipated, gathered again. In his dantian, a group of aura slowly rotated, absorbing the aura that had gathered from all directions. A strong wave of vitality radiated from his body, and various stars appeared in his dantian. It was a highly compressed heaven and earth spiritual energy, and it was a heaven and earth power that had not undergone any transformation. Heaven and earth aura quickly gathered in Gu Fei's dantian. It was not until Gu Fei felt a swelling and painful sensation from his dantian, that he was fiercely cruel, and desperately pushed the highly compressed psychic energy in his dantian towards the 12 seriousness. The third meridian surges. The powerful bursting psychic energy surged sharply in Gu Fei's meridians, like a stream, suddenly flooded like a monstrous flood. Wherever the psychic energy passes, the meridians swell rapidly, almost being caught by that torrent. Burst. Boom. Gu Fei's ear sounded like a blast of thunder, and the torrent of torrents surging from his dantian violently impacted on the walls of the meridians. Gu Fei's body shook sharply, and suddenly a mouthful of blood spewed out, and his body shook. He was actually carried down from the rock under the boulder and in the grass. Gu Fei lay on his back facing the sky, with a scarlet at the corner of his mouth, especially eye-catching. He raised his head to look at the sky, through the wisps of haze floating in the sky from the trees, and occasionally a few spirit birds flew by in the sky. There was no discouragement in his eyes, no frustration, only the firm and somewhat terrifying look. Slowly climbed up from the ground, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and looked in the direction of the mountain forward. On the trail of the mountain behind, there were already sporadic figures walking forward. That was the Taishan clan disciple who had come to the back mountain early for cultivation. Just like him, Taishan Mountain, towering into the clouds, the top of the mountain is filled with clouds and mist, and the halls are looming on the mountain. The terrain is majestic. It is a rare spiritual mountain holy land in the mainland. High-level cultivators are all cultivating on the mountain, but young disciples like Gu Fei who have been in the business for less than 10 years and have a low level of cultivation can only practice at the foot of the mountain. Yeah. There is still no breakthrough. Gu Fei looked inside his body for a moment, and he found that the barrier of the third meridian was just a little loose, and it was still far from breaking through the barrier. It /s been 8 years. The ancient body refining technique has only cultivated to the realm of Tongmai, but I have only awakened my triple heaven cultivation base. Hey. Gu Fei laughed bitterly at himself, the disciples of other branches, even the lowest cultivation base. Wang Yuanji of Wang Yuanji has the cultivation base of the 5 heavens in the realm of awakening me. Thinking of Wang Yuanji who often troubled him, Gu Fei's face showed disgust. The disciples of the other branches cultivated Taoism and made rapid progress, but the progress of his practice technique was as slow as a snail. The cultivation world only respects the strong. cultivates the bottom, and only becomes the target of being bullied. Gu Fei tidied up his clothes, and then walked along the mountain road around the mountain. On both sides of the quiet mountain road, there are blossoming unknown flowers. The faint smell of grass and the scent of flowers floated into Gu Fei*s nose from time to time. The impact on the meridian barrier just failed. Gu Fei*s body received a lot of impact, and injuries were inevitable. However, he doesn't treat injuries as the same thing, because after practicing the ancient physical exercises, he has no other ability, and his body self healing ability is amazing. When Gu Fei came to Qian Shan, he encountered more disciples, but no one greeted him, as if turning a blind eye to him, or just glanced at him with contempt and walked away. Gu Fei was expressionless, his face was indifferent, facing some contemptuous eyes from his fellow students, he was indifferent. Oh, ISN this Gu Fei, our cultivation genius, no, it should be the waste of cultivation, Suddenly, there was a wanton laugh. On the trail ahead, 3 teenagers who also wore white gowns with white belts around their waists walked towards them. The leader laughed, and the 2 teenagers behind him also murmured with laughter. Seeing these 3 teenagers, a look of disgust flashed in Gu Fei*s eyes, and then ignored the 3 teenagers and directly turned to the side path. This trail leads to a pine forest. Hey, junior brother Scrap, why don't you go fast? The 3 teenagers also laughed and followed Gu Fei on the trail. On the trail, there are 7 or 8 other young disciples. However, when these disciples saw the 3 teenagers who laughed at Gu Fei, they couldn't help but speed up a bit, trying to force them away. Who do you think is the waste material? Gu Fei suddenly stopped, turned around, and shouted at the 3 young people. His roar attracted the eyes of other people nearby. Why, what's wrong with saying that you are a waste material? Not only you are a waste material, but your master is also a waste material, What ancient body refining technique, physical body sanctification, it's just a exercise technique, and no one is thrown on the ground. Go and pick it up, but you 2 masters and disciples treat as treasure. It's really a donkey kick in the head. It's extremely stupid. The young man in the lead was suddenly yelled at by Gu Fei, and he was shocked, but immediately, he pointed at Gu Fei*s nose like a gun, and started to spit. Hey! Wang Yuanji, don't go too far. Gu Fei*s fist was clenched tightly, because every knuckle on his fist turned white because of too much force, and the anger in his chest erupted like a volcano. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.